Good morning, beautiful beings. Okay, this is my voice note in response to the two questions that Christina requested in the chat earlier on. Okay, so the 90-second emotional wave. So we talked about this in the emotions as energy section last week. So what I'm referring to here is that arc of emotion that we experience that creates a biochemical reaction. So when we're triggered, our body releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. And if we simply allow ourselves to feel that surge and we can be the observer of it as energy, and we can sort of step outside of ourselves and witness that as an experience, and we breathe through it and we feel it and we stay present, and we don't add more thought, we don't add more story, we don't spiral down, the chemical response will naturally pass through the body in about 90 seconds. This is what emotional arcs want to do. They want to complete that process. So, if that feeling lasts longer than that, it usually means that there is a sponsoring thought that's maintaining. It's being maintained by an ongoing thought pattern, something that we've often been looping in, and something that could even be subconscious. It could be being maintained by a protective part, a defense mechanism. It could be being maintained by something just deeper that's within you that is somatically held in your system that the body is ready to integrate, right? So it's not wrong. And it's the second we label our experience in this as wrong or something negative or something we want to push away, we're actually continuing to recreate it. So this is why we come at these experiences as the loving observer, as the witness, with curiosity and compassion, because that in itself, that mindset of curiosity and compassion in itself helps to stop that loop. Because often when we get into a downward spiral, it's not just one emotion, it's many, many emotions that come in. And then once we start looking at those emotions and judging our experience of I don't want to feel this way, it perpetuates it even more. So it's presenting, shifting that mindset to going, oh, hello, you're still here. I see you. This is my nervous system showing me that there's something more here to meet, right? So this is where we need to keep shifting into observation, and we keep shifting into coherence. The more coherent we are, the more we can witness those subconscious patterns, and the more capacity we have in our nervous system to look, because sometimes looking is hard, okay? So instead of being swept up in the emotion, we take that step back into the observer seat, and we breathe and we anchor into our heart, and we bring curiosity rather than judgment. And we ask those questions like, what's the story that I'm playing in my subconscious or I'm playing in my mind that's keeping this emotion alive? Is it true? Is it just simply familiar? And that question alone is really powerful. So the moment you observe the thought or the emotion instead of being it, instead of being carried away by it, you can change your relationship to it and you reclaim choice. So if an emotion is still feeling sticky, right, if it keeps looping or resurfacing, if you're seeing that as a repeated pattern in your life, that often means there's something a lot deeper seeking resolution. So it could be something personal from this lived experience that's been repeating over time. It could be in a child wound. It could be a protector part. It could be, or there might be some systemic or ancestral roots that aren't even yours that you're carrying in your nervous system. And this is where our constellations work. Well, also this is where somatic inquiry is really powerful. So we did that somatic inquiry practice in the emotions as energy session last week. And somatic inquiry is really about witnessing those deeper emotions as energy and starting to create a deeper level of safety around them in your nervous system to rewire them over time. And the constellations work is so powerful because what it does is it allows us to step into the field and actually witness what's actually happening under the surface. It allows us to witness the family patterns, the unspoken loyalties, the things that have bound us, the things, those systemic repeated patterns that didn't start with us. And when we witness those dynamics with compassion in a constellation's process, it allows the energy to move and to unbind and to recalibrate. It allows the field to shift. 7 generations forward, 7 generations back, they say. But I've seen this happen way, way back, beyond 7 generations back, in the experiences that I've had. And it's about really disentangling us from energies that don't serve us, that don't serve our highest timeline. It's about delayering. And what was really heavy can become integrated. So if you want to go deeper into that, there's a really amazing masterclass that Laura Widman did, our beautiful Laura, and that's in your portal. And that really complements what we're doing here in the Heart Brain Harmony program. And it talks about the process of systemic healing and embodiment through that constellation lens of the field. So I want to also now just address your second question. How do I wake up in peace and harmony? I'm actually going to see if I can readjust my finger because my hand is cramping. Okay. How do I wake up in, peace, harmony, or even just neutrality? As we talked about last night, neutrality is the first step. Then we move up that ladder into appreciation, and then into gratitude, and then into joy, and then into purpose. And it really comes down to consistently being so consistent and retraining your baseline. So remembering that 95% of our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors are subconscious. And what that means is that we literally wake up and repeat exactly the same patterns and thoughts that we did the day before. Literally on repeat. It's literally we live in Groundhog Day. We wake up and we re-enter that same emotional state as the day before, unless we continuously interrupt the loop. And this is where it takes work. A life of complete freedom and abundance, it takes work. It's this deeper work. This is what's required. We don't just sit on the couch, right? And it's the beginning of my spiritual awakening. I remember sitting on the couch doing this really deep Dr. Joe meditation and, asking for $1 million and just expecting it to land in my lap. We need to delayer all of the programs that are in the way that are holding us back from experiencing the life that, that we truly desire. And so our coherence practice is that interruption of the loop, right? So each time we regulate our breath, we focus on the area of our heart, which drops us down out of our monkey mind. It slows down our brain. It shifts us into the back of the brain so that we have that space as the observer. And we choose a different emotional state. We need to start choosing a different emotional state. We need to completely interrupt those thought loops and change the way we think about ourselves, about our world, about the world we live in. We need to completely, entirely change what we think about everything that we witness in the world. And when we do that, when we start doing that in micro moments, we start creating those new neural pathways. And then in those micro moments, we're teaching our body that peace is safe. Because if we've been in severe grief or in our full survival response for a really long time, peace will feel unsafe in our body. So just like, I say to my girls, you don't walk into the gym and just do a round off back handspring the first time at gym and your first lesson of gymnastics. No, you have to start with, a forward roll. It's the same thing when we're learning with our nervous system. It's the same thing with 10,000 repetitions for an elite golfer to get his swing right. It's the same thing here. We have to be consistent. And there's no quick fix. It's consistent, gentle, loving repetition with curiosity and compassion. And every time you come back to coherence, you're shifting your baseline a little higher. Coherence gives you the pause. Coherence gives you the ability to choose something different. It gives you the space as the observer. So that's why we always say coherence comes first. Coherence is your foundational strategy. It's your foundational thing. When I was first doing this work, I was breathing 5 times a day. And that was my focus. And I didn't do it with it. I didn't have a boom room. I didn't have the energy of the boom room to support me to do this work. And over time, this is how it becomes your new normal. This is that bridge between the unconscious and the conscious, between reaction and stepping into creation. And each practice builds that muscle to allow you to choose a new thought, to choose a new emotion, to settle into neutrality. It's about creating a whole new identity and creating a whole new personality. What parts of your personality have been keeping you in the old, in these emotions that are looping? What parts of your personality need to shed? And as we start stepping into the new, you create a whole new version of yourself. I look back now at who I was compared to who I am today, and I am so much kinder. I am so much more gentle. I am so much more giving. I love myself in a way that I have never done before. I've stopped judging myself. God, I used to judge other people. I didn't even realize how much. And that when you judge other people, you're judging yourself. That's really where it stems from. I had to look at all of these parts of me, and I had to break them down, and I had to choose differently. And every time, like for example, a thought would come into my head of judging someone else, I'd say, oh, stop. That's got nothing to do with them. This is the piece within you that's judgmental. And I needed to rewire that with the remembering process over and over and over again. And then when there was a feeling, an energy in my body that just stayed sticky, I'd have a one-on-one with Laura. I'd do a constellations process. I would dig deeper, and then I would do the work after the integration. I would let it go, and I'd keep journaling about my future self. I keep journaling about the version of myself that I'm stepping into. And I do that on repeat over and over again. I have my future self symbol, and I anchor into that energy. Your determination for creating a new identity needs to be stronger than the survival emotions of the past. And some days is not easy. Some days I would fall back into the old, and I would loop back in the old for days and days until you reach a tipping point. And then all of a sudden I woke up one day and I was like, whoa, I'm actually more in a day and a week of my future self than I am of the old. And then the old self just becomes more of this distant memory, and it's just moments in the week where the old self, shows up. And so when you're really in the thick of it, in that beginning part, it can seem like a lot because you're really looking. And I remember when I was first looking at all the parts of me, there was shame, there was guilt. I had to learn how to process that through my body and let it all go. I had to completely reframe that and go, you know what? It's okay that I was like this because I'm doing the work now. I'm doing the work now, and this is the choice. This is who I choose to be. So the remembering process is something that I still use, and it was a really powerful tool in the tool belt. And it's really about embodying that new state so that they're not just ideas, right? They become lived experiences stored in your nervous system. Create a whole new flood of neuropeptides. And then you prune those old synaptic connections in your neural net, in your nervous system that no longer serve you just by focusing on something else. This is why that gratitude goodie bag is so important. This is why the mental rehearsal the mental rehearsal. Choose a moment of beauty in your day. It can be so simple. Someone making you a cup of tea. Choose it from today. You know, the kookaburra is going. Whatever it is, even if you don't fully feel 100% of the emotion of beauty and gratitude, even if it's just 5% and it's a bit of a mental game, mentally rehearse that. Because this is about creating something new. That mental rehearsal piece of feeling it somatically in your body is so important. Feel it, observe it, and keep choosing coherence. This is the path to peace, to freedom, to abundance, to prosperity. And it does take commitment. And know that we all fall off the horse. That's a part of the human experience. We're biologically wired to be that way. But this is why we do this work in the boom room. This is why we have the boom room. We set it up this way so that we can support each other. Because in these moments, that's exactly what the boom room's for. And then also, you know, I've shown the evidence last night. Remember Mabel and his boy and the dog? It was so clear how easily one highly coherent person in that boom room will entrain other people to their frequency. The science is so clear on this. And that's exactly why we set up the boom room. And so this isn't a quick fix, right? You know, we've had people in that boom room now for a year who are absolutely now looking back over the last 12 months who are going, wow, I am literally now a different person. But they've shown up every single day. Every single day. So for those of you that are just wanting to hit that neutrality point, my advice is to keep going, keep showing up for yourself, keep looking at the parts that are seeking your love and your compassion and your curiosity and your witnessing, and allow, and to just keep coming back into your coherence. Keep choosing again. Who do I want to be? How do I want to think? What kind of thoughts do I want to have about myself, about the world, about the people in my world? Journal about those. Create that new version of you. Okay, wow. Longest voice note ever, I think. That was a bit of a ramble, but I hope it was really helpful. And I'm sending you guys so much love. And I just want you to know that I witness you. I see you. I love you. My coherent heart holds space for you all every day. You are all in my prayers every single day. And trust. Know that you are becoming. When you do the work, if you are doing the work consistently, know that you are becoming. You are becoming. And it takes a bit of time. And sometimes often in this process, the delayering process is the crumbling. And we need to look at the crumbling, because underneath the crumbling, there's always a story. And underneath that crumbling, when we witness that story, we then have the opportunity to reframe it and to change it and to choose something else. It's the choice point of choosing something else. So I want you to know that there's a whole community here that is going through this, who has been through this, and we just hold each other in each other's hearts, and we are here to walk this journey and this path together in the moments that feel spicy, in the moments that feel true, and in the moments that just burst our heart open in joy, you know? So I love you all. I've got some more really exciting things coming up really soon, which I'm really excited to share with you all. And yeah, wishing you a beautiful day, and wishing you a day of attunement to just those micro moments of beauty. I love you all.